So yeah, let me just go ahead and quit iTerm so I can open it up. So let's go open up iTerm. So you're probably, when you open up iTerm, you're probably have to see the tilde slash. So let's go ahead. We can just stay here for now. We don't really need to be anywhere in particular when we run these commands. But we should all have Git installed. Oh yeah, it's Git. See, when it's saying it doesn't know this -v option. So it's telling me things it does know. It knows like the -- version. So this one I need to say -- version. Cool. So if you can do git -- version, that means you have this command line tool installed. You have Git installed on your computer. Cool. So there's a little setup we want to do, and this is going to be just one time for the course. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect our Git environment on our local machine to our GitHub computer, to our GitHub cloud account. So when you think of Git, Git is on your local machine and GitHub is on the web. So you can have two different things to keep track of. And we're going to just set it up so it's nice and easy to connect these things. Actually, for this, since I've done this, does someone want to be, so I want someone to show what it's going to look like. Does someone want to be like the screen sharer as we go through these commands? Cool. I saw Austin, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I can do it.
Cool.
Hey, I thought I installed Git, but it when I did the --v, it's not.
It should be -- version.
Oh, -- version.
Yeah, like that right there. You see it, Git -- version. Cool. So what we're doing is we're going to set up a key in our computer. So when we work with GitHub and our account, we don't have to like log in. We can just send this key, which is essentially, you can think of it like as password. So we're going to set this up on our computer. And let me Slack this first command out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see if we all have this key, which I would imagine you want it, unless you have done some setup. So go ahead and type this in your terminal.
That didn't copy. Okay.
And everyone, you can follow along. You go ahead, type this in and throw it in your terminal.
I believe I may have already done this when I set it up with my brother-in-law. The thing where you get a password to do the.
Yeah, you set up your GitHub.
Yeah,
Okay, so you have GitHub installed. Okay.
Hey, I have a question. Every time on my Mac, whenever I like turn it off and then I reuse Slack again, it makes me always drag it into like application and almost like re-download it in a way. Does that do that to you too?
No. With Slack?
Yeah, just with Slack. Like
let's look at that later. Slack works for you, right?
yeah, I just got it to work though. I was just wondering.
Okay. Yeah, let's stick with just this Git, and then maybe later we can, like during break, I can look at that.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, if you run this command, this is what I would kind of expect to see for most of you, that you don't have this file or directory. So if you don't have it, which I think probably everyone except maybe Catherine does not have this, what we're going to do is we're going to run this next command here. So let me select this out. Now, where it says put your email here, go ahead and change that to your actual email. And something with iTerm, you can't use your mouse. You have to use your arrow key.
Oh, that's right.
Do we need to keep the quotes on it?
Yeah, keep the quotes on it.
Okay.
Just like this. So with the quotes and your email. And then when you hit enter, so it's going to ask these kind of questions. So for all of these questions, you just can hit enter. You don't need to enter anything. Yeah, so hit enter, and there you go.
What is that?
It's so what happens is it's just generating like a random key, or it's generating that key that you're going to use, and it's just telling you it's what kind of, it's a SHA 256. That's like the algorithm used. So I don't know what exactly the art is doing right there, but that might be able to like grab your public key with that. But anyway, so now if you run that find SSH key command again, so if you hit up twice, so to go through your history, then you hit enter, now you have that. So this is where that key is living on your computer. And the next thing, because we're going to now copy this key and throw this up on GitHub. So we want to copy the contents of that file. So to do that, this is the next command you're going to run. Cool. So you just hit enter.
It was just making sure it was the same.
Okay, yeah. So now that worked. What that actually did is that essentially you can think of that like as that command as you opening up that file, selecting all of the contents and doing like a command C. So you have now copied that in your like in your computer. So now you don't do this now, but you can now do like a command B and it's going to paste your password. So cool. So now we have that. Now we have your key. So now let's go to GitHub.
Have that open.
And I can share now. So
Oh, okay.
that was the part I really wanted to show, that like going through the ask, like where the generating the key. Cool. So now go sign into GitHub. Now I can share my screen to show you where this is. So GitHub.
For me, it just says enter file in which to save the key.
Enter file in which to save the key.
Yeah, after I put in that email code.
Yeah, for all of that, just hit enter. Like don't type anything, just hit enter.
Okay, it says enter passphrase.
Yeah, hit enter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And now run that pb copy command to copy the contents of that.
Okay.
Cool. So, and I can also go through this. Like once I get done with this, I can like go through the steps again. But so once you're signed into GitHub, and Catherine, maybe you can check this just to make sure you have the key. You probably have this set up. I bet you probably do, but what we can do is go to your icon and go to
What did you say?
I said you can follow along with this to make sure you have that key set up in GitHub.
Okay.
Which I think you do, but we can just double check. Cool. So click into settings. So that you go to your icon, click settings. And this looks different. So we're going to find the SSH and GPG keys. So we just created an SSH key. So that's what the commands we just did in terminal. Cool. And we're going to come in here and we're going to add this new SSH key. So give this a name. So this is like what we're setting up here is we're setting up the key on your computer. So if I were to go back just to show you these names, like I had one where like I got my first DPL Mac. And then I have a different DPL Mac, which is the M1 Mac. So like I have those are two different computers with two different SSH keys. So for yours, you can just call this, it's just relating to your computer, like my laptop or whatever you want to call your computer. It doesn't really matter what this name is. It's just going to let you know, hey, what computer is this?
Is this a Mac only thing, or can you do this as well with Windows?
Oh yeah, this is for any, yeah, this, you could do this for Windows.
Where did you get to the SSH and GPG keys? I don't see that.
I go to this. So I went to the icon in the right. I clicked on settings, and then on the left under access SSH key. And then here go new SSH key. And then yeah, you're going to come in here and you're going to.
So if mine says MacBook Air key SSH, then I have it.
Yeah, if you have a key, then you probably have that set up. So if there's something here, I would imagine that's
I have it.
cool. Yep. So then you go like, my computer or whatever you want to call it. I would call mine like DPL Mac. And then you do just a command V. And that should paste. And let me just do this. I'm actually not going to, I need to change this really quick. I'm not going to like screen share my SSH key. That would be very bad. I'm editing this a little, so it's not the same.
Oh, why is that bad?
So you want to keep your SSH key private?
Yeah. So I changed this. I like added some stuff and removed some stuff. But yeah, because I'm recording this, I'm going to throw this up on YouTube. If someone had this SSH key, they could log into my GitHub. They could go change my GitHub repos.
Interesting.
So this is like, you can think of this like, this is my passcode to log into GitHub.
Okay.
Or like I mean, it's not quite the same, but it gives people the same power. Like they could change my repo. And then you would click add. But I just want to show, that's what it should look like. It should have like this SSH RSA, and then it should have your email at the end.
And we did that all by like that copied when we went through the terminal, that was able to make it put on our copy. So,
Yeah, that PB copy command, that's what did that.
okay.
Hey, James, going through these steps, does that override a previous key if you go through it to see if you have it?
I'm actually
If you
not.
don't if you don't paste it into GitHub, you're not overriding a previous key.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. And that should get us set up. If you have that done, and then you have like you see that key, then you should be good. We should be set up with GitHub. So next, let's just do a brief intro into Git and GitHub. So this is going to be very brief. This is like the bare minimum of what you're going to need to have to get started with Git and GitHub. And I threw these it's like 5 commands that I threw up in Slack. So throw those somewhere, bookmark them, or like put them somewhere so you can easily reference them. But let's go through them. So before I even start any code, let's just, here are the 5, here's what I'm talking about. Here's the 5 commands that we're going to be using today. So it's going to be git init. So that's going to be to create a repo on our computer. And we're going to talk about this term repo in a second. Then we're going to create a repo or a repository on GitHub and add the remote from where you create that. We'll talk about that. So we do these two steps just once for every project. We're creating what's called a repository for our work. And you can think of this repository of just a very fancy way to keep track of our project and to save it. And so when you're working on your projects or when you're working on something, you're going to do these, and you want to save your work, we're going to do these 3 commands. We're going to do a git add to stage the changes. We're going to do a git commit -m, and then you're going to leave a short description about what you changed. Like, oh, added a for loop, or, added a button. Just whatever you did in that last little section of work. And then we're going to do a git push origin master. That's going to take our code on our computer and push it up to GitHub. So this is a way you can take your code on VS Code and push it up to the internet. So it's just these 5 commands. So let's go through these. So first, let's just, and if you're following along in, I just want to show this in Neo. So if you go to classes, if you go to like your full-time class, encoding fundamentals, there's a brief intro on Git and GitHub that has, kind of some of the steps we just went through with setup. But let's just talk about what Git is. So Git is a open source version control system. Has anyone heard of that term? Version control. So version control is absolutely 100% you're going to be using it in software. And like I said, it's probably 95% of that. It's probably just going to be Git. That Git is by far the most popular version control system. There's other ones, but Git is by far the most used. So what it really does is it gives you a way to store your project files, to collaborate with others, to go back to previous versions of your code. I mean, imagine you're working at like Facebook, and Facebook probably has like, hundreds of thousands of files and, thousands of people working on just that one web app. And so what happens when you need to change code? You're just going to email it to each other. You're going to how do you work on a project that big with, that many people? And the answer is like a version control system. So it allows you to work on, you can split up apps into different versions, work on those versions, you can merge them back together. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. We're going to keep it very simple today. But GitHub itself, so GitHub, you can think of GitHub as that is where it's going to live on the cloud. And there's other versions. There's 2 other big ones. There's GitLab and Bitbucket, but they both under the hood use Git. But Bitbucket, GitLab, and GitHub are all like our websites that you push your code up to. And I've used all three, and they're all fairly similar. So if you know one, the concepts really do transfer. There's just a little different syntax. And just like as a side note, like Microsoft owns GitHub. They bought GitHub for like, I don't know, I think it was like $8 billion. So it's, it's a big, it's a big website. Cool. But yeah, let's get into a code example. But so as we're going through Git, just want to make a couple warnings. So never make a Git repository in like a system directory level. So when we run this git init command, you're going to want to run this in like your project directory. You don't want to do it like in your desktop or like your root level. You can actually, if you do it in your root level, I mean, it's hard, but you can actually kind of screw up your computer. You have to like try to do it, but you can, yeah, get yourself into trouble. So only do it in your project directory. And the next rule kind of reiterates this, but it's a little different. So you never want to create a Git repository inside of a Git repository. So what that means, let's say, and that's like, say you created a Git repository in your desktop, and then you created a folder in your desktop and created a repository in there. You're breaking that rule of having a Git repository living in a parent folder who has a Git repository. If you break this rule, it's going to really mess up how Git works. Cool. So yeah, but going forward, each project is going to be in its own folder, and each folder is going to have its own repository. So that's just the way to think about it. You're going to start your homework today. You're going to create a homework folder, and then in that homework folder, you're going to create a Git repository. And if you accidentally create a Git repo where you shouldn't, you can remove the .git folder. So, and we'll go over that today. So let's look at this right now. So let's go ahead and open up terminal. So to see where I'm at, I'm going to do a print working directory, or PWD. So I'm in my root James Yates level, so my user directory. So I want to CD into my desktop. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and CD into my DPL demo folder. For you, it might be DPL. So if I do an ls here to look at what I have inside of this folder, I have like a week 1 directory. Cool. So let's do something we shouldn't do, and that's create a repository in like a more root level directory, because I shouldn't have a Git repository in this DPL folder, because this is going to hold like all of my weeks, and it's going to hold all of my homeworks. But we'll see how we can create one and how we can fix it if we accidentally create one. So I just run this command, git init.
Do you want us following along doing this too?
Yeah, follow along, just get used to these commands. So I created git init, and you can see with my ZSH helper, it's giving me some like highlighting that says, hey, this directory is now a Git repository. And I can also see this by like doing an ls. I need to do an ls-la to list the hidden files. And now I have this .git directory. So I don't want that there. Like I did this in the wrong spot. I want to remove that. So I can just do an RM to remove, and it's a directory. So I need to do a -R and then the name of the file, Git. So I removed that Git repository, that Git folder, and this is no longer a, this is no longer has a repo associated. So let me just show you this. If you like are on your desktop, you don't need to do this. I'm just going to CD back. So it can be pretty easy to tell. Like if you're on your desktop and you see like this Git master, like you shouldn't see that there. Should not have a master repository on your, you should have a repository on your desktop. And if you're scared about like deleting it and removing it, you can ask me and we can find where the repo lives and we can remove it. So I'm going to go back into this DPL demo. I'm going to CD into week 1. So, and then I'm going to make a directory. So yeah, if I were like, and this is how you're going to do it. If you're going to be like starting a homework, you know, I would come in and I'd make a directory, like make directory. Let's call this HW1, CD into that. And now here, this I'm going to want to be a Git repository. So this is where I'm going to follow the steps on Slack. So I'm going to do a Git Init to create the repository on my machine. And then with GitHub, so now I need to, and I want to throw these instructions up just so we can see them. So there's that first step, create a repo. And actually, I'm going to throw these in here so you can see them, the little warnings just as reminders. So we run that Git init. Now we're going to do the second thing where we create a repo on GitHub and add the remote. So let's see what that means. So go to GitHub. And you're going to do this for each homework. So you're going to get very used to this. So you're going to come in here in your GitHub, you're going to do a new repository. And then you're going to give this the name. I like to like match the name of like my homework. I also might append, just because I have so many repos, like, and it's all usually with DPL, like the cohort. So I know which cohort it's associated with. But for you, I would maybe just have this repository name, just match the name of that directory. It doesn't have to, but I think that's just good practice. But I like to append like the cohort so I know which one it is. So you just give it a name and create repository. And then for the next section, create a repo on Git. We created the repo. Now we're going to add the remote. Do this once. And so it's git remote add and then copy the SSH link. I'm going to also edit this just to make this more clear. Because we spent all that time setting up the SSH key. So let's use it. So I'm going to do this. Make sure to use the SSH link. And let me show you what that means. So you have two options right here, because I think by default, it might be the HTTPS. So and this would work. This is going to work. But the difference is if you use this link, when we push up to GitHub, you're going to have to type in your GitHub username and password. You know, the reason we set up that SSH key is so we don't have to do that. It's one of those things where it's going to save time. And maybe if like your GitHub password's like complicated, which it probably should be, you might not even know your GitHub password. So we're going to use the make sure you do the SSH one. So just switch that to SSH. And then we don't need to follow because we've done a lot of this stuff. We just need to add this one line right here. This git remote add origin. We don't need to do anything else. And actually, did I forget? I did forget origin. Just want to get this clear here. So it's git remote add origin and then the SSH link. So I think it's just easiest right when you create this to just copy this line. Boom. If I type in git remote now, I have this origin. So the remote, because it's a remote site, you know, this is a remote repository, meaning it's not on my machine. So I have this remote repository called origin now associated with this homework. Cool. I think I can maybe do, is it dash? If I do a git remote dash v, it actually is telling me like that SSH link. And there's the H1. That's just a way I can like see that it's there. Cool. So let's go ahead and so those are the these are the two setup steps that you do when you like start a project. We create a repo on our machine with the Git in it. We create a repo on GitHub. And then we connect the two by adding this remote link. So now let's go ahead and like step into some code. So I'm going to open this project up in VS Code. There is homework number 1. So I can come in and let's make a file. So I'm going to do this in terminal. You can do it in VS Code, but let's just touch demo.js. Cool. And there it is. Now, something that's already a little different, I don't know if you noticed this from yesterday, is this demo.js is highlighted differently. Now I have this one right here. So let's just do a console.log. Hello. I've saved it. So I've saved it to VS Code, but you see this one right here. It's saying I have like some changes, and I can actually go into like my terminal and type Git status. And so now Git is telling me, it's like, hey, there's this untracked file called demo.js. For now, we're going to just whenever we make a change or we want to like add this to GitHub, we're going to follow these steps. I'm going to do a git add. The git status command just kind of shows me like what's the status right now of Git. So I did a git add. And now it's saying, hey, there's a new file. It's ready to be committed, changes to be committed. So now let's do the git commit. And we're going to do -m. And then do not forget this -m with like the string, with the quotes.
So after you create the demo.js and it pops up green, what do you do after that again?
and it pops up green.
Yeah.
Oh, I ran this command. So we did a git add.
So git add,
A git add dot.
git
Git-
add space dot,
Yeah, space dot.
and then git status.
Yeah, the git status doesn't do anything. It's just
Uh.
kind of showing. It's kind of like, hey, what's up? What's like, you don't need to run that one. I'm just showing it to kind of show the state.
All right.
Cool. And then we're going to do a git commit -m, add, added file or just some message. The message right now isn't super important. It will become more important as we get more into Git, but for now, just give it a message though. Cool. And just to show you, like,
So what was that you just did?
it's git commit -m and then quotes. I give it the -m stands for message. So it's like asking, it wants a message.
So that's just letting Git know that you added a file.
Yeah. I'm just being like, this message is for me. It's like, I'm just, like I said, the message right now is not important for us. It will become important down the road, but we have to give it a message.
When you pressed enter, you got all of that and I got quote. So is that what you're talking about? Just you put in a message because I don't
No.
see it on your side.
If you got a quote, you forgot to close. You forgot the closing.
I did. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
So mine didn't pop up that same message as you, and it may be because I put -m and then I did space add file.
No, I mean, you should. I'm just going to make another change. So just to show you,
How do I get out of a quote?
just add a quote and hit enter.
Oh, just add something.
Add a quote. You need to finish
Oh,
the
okay,
quote. So add just one more quote.
okay. Thanks.
So the steps are, you make a change, you do a git add dot, git commit -m. Really, this doesn't matter now, so I'm just going to put X. It doesn't, whatever. I'll just put yo for now.
So every time you git add, that's just updating your Git.
Just think of it if you want, okay, just keeping this simple. If you want to push up to GitHub, because we haven't done this yet, the third step is I'm going to want to do a git push origin master. And then I'll go through these 3 steps. So again, so when I do a git push origin master, I should see something like this where it's like, enumerating objects, blah, blah, blah. But if I go up to GitHub and hit refresh, now I see my file. So this is on the internet, like this is on GitHub now. So now my VS Code is up to date. Or sorry, my GitHub is like up to date with like VS Code.
Can you go back to your term so I can do the push too?
Yeah.
So we don't have to put the message
I'm going
necessarily.
to slack out these 3 commands just as, because these are when you want to push up to GitHub, you have to do this. So first, save all changes on VS Code. Like obviously it's not going to, if you don't save it on VS Code, it's not going to grab the changes. Then you do a git add dot, do a git commit -m. The message doesn't matter right now. It should maybe describe what you did. But you can, if you put yo or whatever, I don't like, that's fine for now. And then you're going to do a git push master. So let's just go through this a couple times and just kind of get that, because it's very muscle memory-esque. So let's say I'm doing my homework.
Hey,
Uh,
James, I got a warning. When I did push origin master, it says
ooh, ooh.
authenticity of host can't be established. This key is not known
Yeah,
by any other
yeah,
name.
so, yeah, thank you. So you will all see that warning on the first time you push. You can ignore that warning. Like what does it ask you to do?
I think it says, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, no, fingerprint.
Hit yes. Because what that is asking for is that's asking, it's like, hey, are you sure you want to use this SSH key? Like that, because we just set that up.
So you said hit yes?
Yeah, hit yes on that. And that's only going to ask you that once. So
And then you said if we go to our GitHub and update it, it should be there now?
yeah,
Mine didn't do anything. It just returned to an empty line.
on your git push origin master.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. How about you share your screen?
Okay.
How can we see the messages that we send to Git?
Git log.
Right here. And then I tried it again and now it's just empty.
That is okay. Hit Control C. Will you type git remote? Okay, will you do git status? Okay, so you need to do a git add space dot. Cool, and then a git commit. That space dash M. And then
Okay.
ending and closing quote. And then yeah, just throw whatever, like X in there, it doesn't really matter.
I already did this, but
Yeah, and then hit enter. Now I'll do a git push origin master. And then hit enter.
same thing.
What?
Maybe it's just loading. I don't know.
Nah, it should be. That's weird. Okay, hit Control C again.
Okay.
Do a git status. On branch. Oh, go to your, well, what should be there? Go to your demo.js file and like just make a change
On
in
VS Code.
Yeah, in VS Code. And
Okay.
everyone can follow along now, do the same thing. Go to your demo.js file and make a change. Whatever, add a console.log, add a comment, doesn't really matter. Just go add something, save it on VS Code, and then run those 3 commands again. So, and Joe, will you just do a git status
Yeah.
if you made a change?
Okay.
So after we add a new line to the VS Code, we do what's the order again? Git add, git comment, and then git push origin.
Yeah. So do a git add dot.
Git add dot.
And Joe, you can do this too.
Git comment
Git commit dash M.
dash M update. And then git push origin.
Yeah, so just throw in something there, like a string. Yeah, X. Cool. And now try doing a git push origin master.
And then after that, how do we check it out?
Wait 1 second. Will you hit yes on this? So once you push, you should be able to go to GitHub and refresh your page and see your change up there. So Joe, you can go ahead and hit yes. Cool.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
So Joe, I think why it wasn't working is maybe you didn't have anything in that file.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's weird. Okay. But that should be up there now.
Okay.
Cool.
I also got I don't know what I got. I got a weird message on mine.
What's your message?
Mine says, it says master root commit, your committer, Catherine Gaylord, and then it has my, and I don't, Anya.
Yeah, you need to share your screen.
Yeah, okay.
A weird error. Okay.
It was, I don't know what I did. Oh, I don't know where share screen went.
Here, let's do this. I'm going to go through one more demo and then we're going to take a break, and then Catherine, I can look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming up with a message too, so I'm gonna need some help.
Cool. Let's just do this really quick. One more demo. Kind of just want to, because this flow is going to become very familiar. And we'll talk more about what git add, why we have to do a git add dot git commit and a git push later. But really what you like, so for your homework, you're going to be turning in a Git repository. So, you come in here, you make some changes, yay, get stuff working. Add a new file. Come in here, new file. Whatever, you're adding lots of stuff on your homework, or your project, or whatever you're working on. So yeah, so this is all saved to VS Code. So saving to VS Code has nothing to do with like Git and GitHub. I just need to make sure everything's saved. But maybe I get to a point where like, hey, I want this to go up to GitHub. Because I want this, it's almost like I want to save my work to the cloud. So if you want to save your work to the cloud instead of just VS Code, well, now I can come here, I can do a git add dot git commit -m, great stuff here. And do a git push origin master.
So if you want to update to your Git, it's always that 3 order, that git add, git commit, and then git push.
Yeah. For now, that's what we're going to do. There's different flows, but yeah, that is what we have to do to push up to GitHub. And then when I see this, I know that's successful. I can do a refresh. And now I can see that yo.js files added in my demo.js. I have that added. And just a little, just like teaser, like, look, that's my commit message. So the commit message is like, hey, this is kind of describing what was changed in this file. What was last changed since the last commit. We don't have to worry about it so much with your homework, but definitely as we get further into GitHub, we want to be descriptive about what we're changing. So it's easy for us to find, what we did. And just like a little more with, and you might not have this on your machine yet, but just to kind of show you, don't worry about it. So if we look at the source control and why we have this and why GitHub is so important is I can go back through all my commits and like I can look at what was changed through each commit. Oh, on this first commit, I added this. On this second commit, I added this line on this third commit, I added these 2 files. So it gives you this history of what you have changed.
How did you bring that up again? You go to
Yeah,
source-
don't worry about it because I don't think you can. What you need to worry about right now for Git, just to keep it simple, is those 5 commands: doing the git init, creating the repo, and pushing. I don't want to like bombard you with too much. And this is also an extension, so you won't be able to see this because you need to add an extension to see that. Cool. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back at 10:50 and I'll stick around for people who have like the setup or you're having errors with GitHub. So Catherine, you want to share first?
Hey, James, it might help if you increase the size of the font on your terminal.
Oh, thank you. Cool. Do you have your, Catherine, are you there?
Yeah, I needed, I'll be back. I need to do a break for a second.
Okay, that's fine. Anyone else?
Yeah, I need some help.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. Uh-oh, sorry. Oh, this is confusing. This is confusing. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You need to put one of your Zooms on mute. I think you're both on mute now. Still on mute.
Can you hear me? Okay, we're good?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So you can see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So I kept getting this fatal
Okay.
message.
So that is when you create, so if you don't have you didn't add your remote for your GitHub repository.
I am back.
Uh,
Actually, that's the same as the committer thing that she has. That's the same thing I had because I got lost when you were talking about adding the Git thing, so I just skipped that.
The committer thing is not an issue. It's just saying it wants you to set up like a name. That's not like an error. That's more just like a warning. Is that what?
Oh. Well, it doesn't even show up in my, I'll click it and it still has this.
Yeah, so your error is you don't have, if you scroll up, the origin does not appear to be a Git repository. Like that fatal, that's an error. So you need to see that git remote add origin. So in GitHub, where it says git remote add origin, whatever that string is, you need to copy that and paste that in your terminal.
Is it this?
No, do the git remote add. I mean, that's the
Oh.
thing you want to add, but there's the whole line that has the whole thing for you. The git remote add origin.
Right here.
Yeah, I would copy and paste it.
Okay.
Because it's just right there on, or pushing it. Yeah. Or pushing
Right here?
No, or pushing.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. See that does have that thing, but it also has the git remote add origin.
Yeah, I thought I did that. That's why I was confused.
You might have just copied the what? Okay, wait, do a git status, or sorry, do a git remote. Oh, you do have, okay, yeah, you do have it. Okay, so try a git, wait, scroll up again. Oh, you spelled origin wrong. You said git push organ master.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
git push, yeah, it has to match that name, origin.
Wait,
You spelled it wrong.
I
again.
spelled it. Oh my gosh. All right. Or
I-
it. All right. Then I enter.
Space master.
Oh yeah, Space Master. Quotes.
Not that, no, not the dash M, it's just the word master.
Oh. All right.
And you hit yes or type yes,
Oh, type yes.
hit enter. You only have to do that once. Cool. So now you should be able to refresh GitHub, and now it should be up there.
Okay. So. Hey, okay, thank you. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I can't judge anyone for misspelling something. Cool. Anyone else have questions? Catherine, are you there?
Yeah.
Did you were you able to push up to GitHub?
No.
Do you want to share your screen?
I can't even find my Git. I'm trying to still find my GitHub. Okay. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's this thing right here. We don't have to really worry about right now. I guess we can, but let's, yeah, just type git space remote. Okay. So yeah, you don't have a remote, meaning you haven't linked up your GitHub repo, did
Yeah.
you?
I got lost in that. I didn't understand that. Connecting it to the Git. Or
Yeah, so did you create a repository on GitHub?
no.
Okay, so you need to do that.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand what I was doing. Yeah. So where do I go in the GitHub?
Yeah, so go, well, I can't see. So if you go to GitHub, there should be like in the top right, like a plus button. And you just click on that and click new repository.
Where I don't see a plus. Okay, the plus button, got it. The Zoom was in the way of my.
Yeah.
Okay, new repository. Okay, and then what do I type in repository name?
I like to just name it like the name of the
Oh
project.
yeah,
So like
of the folder.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
call it HW1.
Okay, yeah. And then I don't need to put a description.
No.
Okay, and then just, do I need to click public or private?
I would just leave it public.
Okay. And then the initialize repository, you don't click any of those add.
You just need to give it a
Just-
name and new.
Just create repository, okay. Okay, and then this is then the you click the SSH.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. And then what do I click?
Then you want to find that line where it says
Oh,
get remote add origin. What that it's a long thing after that.
under or push existing repository from command line, that one?
Yeah.
Copy that one, okay.
Copy that one and paste that into your terminal.
Okay. So when I'm sharing my screen, you can only see whatever screen I clicked on when I started then?
I can right now I can only see your iTerm.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I pasted that just right there where it's on the,
Yeah,
okay.
cool. And just to show you, if you do a get remote now, if you type get remote again, see now you have that origin. So now it's like linked to that repository.
Okay.
So now you can do, because you've done a git add dot, you've done a git commit -m. So you should be able to do a git push. Well, actually just do this just so I can see it. Do a git status. Oh, so you need to go make a change. Do you have, like in this homework one, do an ls. Just want to see. So go make a change to the demo.js file.
Make a change in the VS Code?
Yeah, and save it.
Alrighty. VS Code. Just type anything.
Yeah, doesn't really matter.
And then, it's saved when there's an X.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go back to your terminal.
Okay.
And this is just more for me. Will you do a git status? Cool. So you made a change. So since we made a change, we need to do the git add dot again.
Git add dot space dot.
Space dot. Yep. So we
Okay.
need to do a git commit -m.
Is there a space?
Yeah, space
Space M.
M, and then the closing. You need the quotes.
Sorry, I clicked enter. Did I just type it again?
You can hit up,
Oh yeah, up.
and then do a opening and closing quote. Just give it some message in there. Cool.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
like that. And then click enter.
Yeah. Sweet. We can ignore that thing.
It's,
and
yeah, that's not the same thing though. So what is that about?
that's just, it wants you just to like add a username and host name. We can change that later.
Okay.
Now, so you can just ignore that.
So with the Git stuff, there's also another password that you type in the terminal like this. This is what I did with my brother-in-law that was showing me this, but there's like another password. When would you ever need that? You know what password thing I'm talking about with Git? That you'd have to type a password into your terminal. Maybe I'll just ask him. He created a password for me that has something to do with Git, and I'm not really sure what that's about.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know, because do a git push origin master. This will be how I'll be able to see.
How do it with spaces?
Yeah.
Did not spell origin wrong. I was thinking right. Oh, enter a password. So is that the one where I did the password?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you generated that key, you entered it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's where you use the password. So I just typed the passcode, the passphrase.
That pass, yeah. So you know that passphrase, obviously, because you typed it in, right?
Yeah.
So I had everyone, because when we generated the key, I just had everyone skip that so you don't have to enter it. It's just like another. He set it up so you do have a passphrase.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it works, but you just have to enter a passphrase.
If we ever come across this, just remind me that I already have that or whatever we're using it for, if we're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just remember, because that passphrase I would have, because that's not going to be your GitHub password. It's not going to be your computer password. That's going to be just whatever you entered when you generated that key.
Okay. I'm just not sure when I would even be using that, but I guess I will get it later, understand later.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
thanks.
Yep. All right. I guess it's time to get started. Sweet. So that was a brief intro to Git. So just gonna get you started with that sooner than later. But really, we're gonna keep it really basic. That's all. Those 5 commands are really all you need for now. We'll get much more into it later, but that'll just be a nice way to start a mellow introduction. But even, I don't know, maybe even after seeing just a tiny demo, maybe you're starting to see it is a very, very useful tool. I'm not even saying it's not even useful. It's necessary. Version control. I don't know how you would like do like code without some sort of version control system. Be very messy. Cool. Well, sweet. Let's that's kind of the end of the Git demo. I'll probably just like do Git stuff on the side just to show you. You don't have to like follow along with the GitHub stuff. I actually recommend you don't for now, but I'll do it on the side just so you can like see it being used. So let's go ahead and yeah, just get into more JavaScript lecture. So I'm actually gonna CD back. So let me just, yeah, don't follow along with this because I'm just gonna go through the steps again, and I'm going to go through it quickly. So let's say I'm gonna make a directory for like lecture 2.
Not showing your screen.
Oop, thank you. Okay, thank you. Because I want this to be its own thing. I'm going to make it in my week 1 directory. I'm going to make a lecture 2 directory. So I'll CD into that. And, you know, since, and this is something I do, is I push all of the code up on GitHub from lectures. So every lecture I want to, you know, push up the code to GitHub so you can reference it. So you don't have to do this, but just watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Git Init. That creates the Git repo on my machine. Then I go to GitHub and I create a new repository, just kind of doing the steps we did just a second ago. You know, lecture 2, I'm going to append it just with the cohort. I create the repository. I come in here and I add the remote. Cool. So now those 2 are linked up. I can now open this up in Visual Studio Code. Close this file. You know, make a file, demo.js. Actually, yeah, and then I can do like a console.log. You know, working. Something I like to do before I like push up to GitHub is, you know, make sure things are actually working. Like make sure your code's working. That can be like It's not 100% you have to do that, but that's generally when you want to push up to master. It's like once you got a chunk of work done, or you got something that you want to save or it's working. So I made a change. Now I can just do a git add dot git commit -m. I just say something like init commit because it's my first commit. And we git push origin master.
And so is what you just did, is that exactly what we'll be doing for homework, for example?
Yeah.
All that whole, all those steps?
Yeah, that flow, you know, I was in week 1, I made a new directory for that specific thing. In that directory, I did a git init. Then I went to GitHub, created a repository in GitHub. I added that remote to this project. I made a change, and now I'm going to just get in this flow where I make changes, I save them in VS Code, and I do a git add, git commit, git push. So it really is just those, it's like the setup, you have the setup part, and then you have this part.
I have a quick question, James.
Yeah.
Is there any reason you would delete or destroy a repository?
Yeah, if you don't,
After you created one?
if you don't want it.
Oh, okay. So if it's not like I'm guess I'm asking you, like, there is a way to do it, like it's not like a permanent.
Yeah, if I remove my Git directory, doesn't like that. If I remove my Git directory in this, it doesn't like delete it from my computer. It's just going to remove all that. It's going to remove all my commits. But
Right.
I think that's
it's like no longer tied to GitHub.
yeah.
Okay.
No longer tied to GitHub. Like
So then so basically if you did that, would you then go on GitHub and then delete the repository from there too?
yeah.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so let's just do this. I mean, you're not going to need this, but let's just say like rn-rf lecture 2. Like I just deleted that project from my computer. But it's still on GitHub. I can do what's called a clone. I can do a Git clone. Give it that SSH link. It's not going to be here anymore because I deleted this project, but there it is.
Oh, so you can bring it back.
Yeah, so I could.
That's cool.
I mean, that's why it's on the cloud. It's like, so I could lose my computer, or my computer can blow up, but I get a new computer and I clone it down.
Very cool. Thank you.
And there it is. And you can run this command. You can do a git clone my repo, and you can just copy, because it's a public repo. So you can clone down my repository. And because I made it public, and you can use it. You're not going to be able to push to my repository because you don't have that key set up. So that's where like the permissions come in. You can clone, but you can't push.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and get back into JavaScript. Yeah, like I said, I know this throwing in Git this soon, we're just going to be using it every day, so we might as well just start using it now sooner than later. You're going to get very familiar with Git. It's going to become like second nature by the time you're done with this course. So going back to where we left off, I believe we talked, I need to pull up my notes. think we got done with conditions. So what I want to talk about next are loops. And actually how I'm going to do this now that we have GitHub and I can push this up to a repository is I'm just going to make a JavaScript file specifically for this demo. I'm going to call it loop.js. And I'm just going to copy this right here. So there's some different kinds of loops. In JS. Now, loops are very, like, every language is going to have this concept of a looping. Like, you know, you want to do something a certain amount of times. That's what a loop is. We're going to spend a lot of time when we get to like arrays. Like, let's say you have a list of something. It's also very common. You want to go through that list of things and do something. Or maybe you want to do something 10 times. But loops are definitely a very important part of coding. You know, when yesterday we were talking about like if else statements, like those give us the ability to like branch to different parts of our code. Loops give us the ability to repeat parts of our code. So here are some of the JavaScript ones. Today, we're just going to talk about the for loop and the while loop, but there are other ones. But just to kind of keep this brief, let's talk about the for loop. I'm just going to copy this in here so it's in the notes. So here's the for loop syntax. We have a for, and then we have 3 statements. This first statement gets run when it's first like initialized. So like the first time through the loop, it gets run. The second statement gets run every time it's checking a condition. And the third statement is going to like increment and decrement your expression. So let's look at what that means. So let's say we want to count to 10. So the first thing is, you know, what we run the very first time, it's like the initialization. So I'm just going to declare a variable, and you'll often see this just called I for like iterator or index. And I'm going to initially set this variable to 0. And I'm going to run this. So now I'm on my second statement. As long as I is less than or equal to 10. You know, continue on with this loop. And then the third statement is the like how we change the increment or decrement. So I'm going to add 1 to I every time through this loop. And then I can do something just to kind of show us what this is doing. We can console.log I. So I starts off at 0. As long as I is less than or equal to 10, let's console.log I. And every time we do that, we're going to add 1 to I. So it starts off at 0, we log it, then we add 1, then I is now 1. We log it, we add 1. So let's go ahead and run this node. I'm calling this loop.js. And there we go. That is going, counting from 0 to 10. Just a little more demos. If I wanted to count backwards, just to kind of see how this syntax is working. Well, I don't want to start counting at 0. I want to start counting at 10. And I want to go as long as I is greater or equal to 0. And then every time I want to minus 1 from I. So let's save that. Let's do console.log count from 10 count to 10. So we can see this more clearly in our logs. So here we're counting to 10, and here we're counting from 10. Now, once again, you know, did I want the 0 or not? If I want the 0, I need to make that greater than or equal to, if I want to grab the 0. Something you might run in, so when we get into loops, there's the concept of a infinite loop. This is never good. So let's talk about an infinite loop. All right. So we start I off as 10. As long as I is greater or equal to 0, let's do this loop. And then each time we're going to increment I by 1. Well, what's that going to do? Well, that's never going to end, right? Well, if I'm adding 1 to I, when is I ever not going to be less than 0? So this is a infinite loop. And now my code is stuck here forever. So if you get yourself in an infinite loop, and you want to get out of it, because you can like close VS Code, that's one way, or you can do a Control-C in your terminal to get out of that.
So what's the reason that it's causing an infinite loop again?
Because my check, this is saying as long as this is true, it's going to continue doing it. So, and since I'm starting off at 10 and I'm just adding 1, I is never, it's always going to be greater than
0.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to comment that out. So yeah, that ran how many times? 3 million times. 4 million almost. Cool. So yeah, and just to kind of just get a little more familiarity. So if we wanted to count to 10 by 2s, I could just say I plus equals 2. So I'm going to increment I by 2. So there's 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You know, if I wanted to start at like 5, just set that to 5. 5, 7, 9. I mean, we don't just have to log, we can now use like an if statement. So let's go back to just counting to 10. So we can do like we can do a lot of work inside of these if statements. We can, whatever in these curly brackets we can run. So let's say we wanted to do something like check to see if I is even or odd. So if I, mod, so if I want to see if something's odd or even, I can mod it by 2. Remember, the modulus gives us the remainder of division. So if the remainder of division by 2 is 0, that means it's even. Console.log. And I'm going to interpolate this. So here's another reason why interpolation is nice. I can interpolate a variable. So with string interpolation, we use backticks, and then we use the $sign curly brackets. And then I can now like write JavaScript code in there. I can say I is even. And then I can do an else. Just going to Command C this, Command V, say I is odd.
I have another question.
Yeah, go for it.
I notice when you write code, you don't always put the semicolon at the end of certain statements that you're making, is that not as important in JavaScript as it is in other codes or in other languages?
Yeah, and that's me. I'm very much used to my format on save. So if I like format on save, that will
Oh,
add-
yeah. Okay.
But the answer to yeah, it's not as important. There are some like rare cases because other languages you don't put the semicolon and it like breaks.
Mhm.
But yeah, JavaScript doesn't care. There are like some cases where like it can cause some weird bugs. But I also know like some companies, it's part of their like style, like coding style that you don't use semicolons in JavaScript.
Hmm.
So it can kind of depend on the company.
Okay.
But yeah, I am inconsistent with the
No,
semicolon.
you're good. I wasn't calling you out. I was just curious.
Because I that is something like I do rely on the formatter for, but yeah, you can kind of I like to like just ignore them. They're so dumb in JavaScript. I don't know why.
Oh, I was gonna ask, what is your last console log saying again?
It's saying I is odd. So if I run this, 0 is even. That is true. 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even.
And what